Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today we're recording an episode for our AFM series, that's American Film Market, and we're bringing you the best of those who attended and participated in AFM this year in Los Angeles, California, or Century City, California. They brought it back, so my guests today are Trisha Burns, who's the founder and executive producer over at Sweet Podcast Studio, and Noah Lydiard, who's a director and writer over there. Trisha, Noah, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
All right, so got a lot to talk about today, so definitely want to get into what you're doing in the podcasting side of things and, of course, in film. And just to get us kicked off here, AFM, it's been a little bit since it's taken place and we're recording this, but I'll tell you, it was a great year for us and just lots of people. I feel like there was so much energy and lots of people showed up. It was I don't know if it was a record-breaking attendance, but it was packed. And Trisha, I know you were in attendance. What was your experience like?
It was overwhelming. There was a massive response. I thought it was really well organized this year. It was easier to find people and book appointments for what you were looking for there and whatever your purpose was there. And the panels were great. They had really informative people speaking, and the pitch contests were organized really well too. So overall, I thought it was excellent.
That's awesome. So what brought you out this year? What brought you out? And have you been in the past? It was the first time, or you've been in the past?
I haven't been in the past. Other people on our team had gone before me, so I was interested to go and curious to see how it was working and how it's all changed and kind of what the structure was. And I did. I learned a ton. My whole goal there was more of learning curve and then some reaching out to certain connections, and that was all accomplished. So so being a new person there, I can attest to. I mean, I've attended other conferences, obviously, in the past, so I know how other ones are run. So I'm comparing it to other conferences instead of itself.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of my favorite things about this particular conference is that it kind of has everybody there, like from the talent to the directors, writers, you name it. They're all there. The salespeople, which you don't always get all these people in one room. So to me, and then varying levels. Some people are really established, been in this game for a long, long time. Others are, just going for the first time and want to shoot their first film or do their first project. Was that your experience, or was I just talking to a lot of random people? I don't know.
No, it was. Every day there were different people, and it got busier and busier as you got into the end of the week because they have those staggered passes to buy. So some people did a 4-day, some did a 3, some did a 2, some just did a single day. So every day there was a new influx of people just when you thought you were getting your head around it. And they were all levels. I mean, being across the street from the CAA offices didn't hurt either, but it was all different levels of people coming in for different reasons. So it was interesting.
Yeah, and whoever wants to take this, Trisha or Noah, if this one's for you, how does podcasting fit into this marketplace? I'm curious.
I think podcasting fits in because it's still storytelling. And I think it's a really authentic way to bring storytelling, especially through brands, and it gives brands more authority in the direct storytelling marketplace for the direct-to-consumer. So I think it does fit in an AFM. I think for people that are looking for distribution of new forms of content and to do distribution in new ways that have those platforms that need something new, it offers that.
And on the production side, I feel like I know they were doing, I don't have one off the top of my head at the moment, but I know that some of the things at Netflix and some of the things that were being created in terms of series, I mean, this would be more on the limited series or series edition, they were starting as podcasted or scripted audio, right? Which is what is scripted audio, like the original radio, right?
Right.
Yeah. Theater, which is, I think, just building on what Trisha's saying, it's given an opportunity to reach people on different channels. I mean, most people but many people these days, there's a constant stream of content going to them through mobile devices, through television, and of course through audio devices. And I think that's what's driving, and that's why it deserves a space in this world, because as Trisha said, it's storytelling. As you're touching on, it's an extension of old school radio in some ways, where it was theater of the mind, where dramas and narratives were. And I think for networks or studios that want to test content or farm content and find out if people are responding to it, it's a great low budget test market.
Yeah, whenever I think about this and I think about like the power of it, I think about that old school Orson Welles conversation, or I'm sorry, radio broadcast where he had people like literally panicking in the street because they thought like there was some invasion or something going on, all through audio over a radio. Like, that's insane. So when people tell me like, well, radio or audio, like what can the power of audio be? I'm like, no, audio is powerful. I'm a podcaster, obviously, so I'm going to be biased on that, right? But I'm like, audio is powerful. And then I also see kind of like a lot of people that are trying to get projects off, and I'm like, man, cost can be a lot less to be able to bring in a group of actors, specifically with scripted audio and other things like that, and maybe see if you can gain a following for your project or the world you're building, depending on the genre, right?
Well, that's the thing that they were discussing at AFM is that can podcasts be the new catalyst or another vehicle for audience in order for a project to prove that it has an audience, right?
Yeah.
And because studios are taking less and less risks and they want you to come with a proven outlay, right? They want you to prove that you already have put in the effort and built an audience for it so that they know exactly who they're selling to. And the podcast gives you that.
And it makes
sense. A little bit. Yeah. Say on that, one of the things that's just exciting in podcasts and in short format and any kind of independent production, whether it's film or audio based, is the technology has shifted so much. We're living in a time when you can create podcasts from your living room or over the phone remotely like we're doing right now. And the technology is accessible. I mean, if you go back even 10 years to have a conversation like this and think that's going to be broadcast, you'd have to, start as an intern at a radio station and slowly work your way up over years to get invited into the broadcast suite. Whereas now we can create content and broadcast it to the entire world from our homes and from our mobile phones. So that's it's a super exciting opportunity. I think it's part of the reason these things are taking off, because it allows so many creators to just do their thing and not have to worry so much about the politics and the mechanics and the nepotism or whatever goes into getting work done. It's you can start to express yourself easily from anywhere in the world.
Yeah. I remember seeing this old like Steve Jobs like Pixar quote, and or like video, it was a clip. I don't know, he was being interviewed or something, and this is where I immediately thought of podcasting, and this is what it went something like. He said that like with Pixar, like when somebody makes a film, and do they know like if it's a bad film at the end? And he's like, well, they do know, but the problem is, or the challenge, he probably used a different word other than problem or challenge, because he's Steve Jobs is Steve Jobs. So basically, he's getting to the idea that, but once the film's like done or they have everything shot, the sets are down, the actors are gone, everybody's gone, it's like they have to work with what they have. And so what I thought was super, and then he juxtaposed that to what doing animation at like a Pixar is. And he's like, so their process is shoot, let's say 10 times more footage than you need and then piece it together. And he says, well, in Pixar, you can't do that. Like you can't, or any animation, because it won't have the budget. But what they do is they do the reels and the things in advance. And they even they record it with actors that aren't going to be the main actors and this and that. And they work out the story through these reels to where it's where they need it to be before they even start creating the film. And I was like, wow, what if people did that through podcasting? I was like, that would be interesting, because you could work out the story and you could even do it with whoever's not going to be your main talent for maybe the feature or anything else like that. And you could test it on audiences. You could do all this stuff through audio to a certain extent. And I was like, wow, that could increase the possibility. And I was like, that's just a whole nother layer of what's possible with podcasting. I'm like, and I mean, what to explore it, right?
Yeah. And you're touching on essentially, I know that the quote of the conversation you're talking about is in animation, they edit the film, and it's the exact opposite. You shoot, you put it together in post-production. So, you have that same ability in podcasting to test things out. And a lot of my background's in marketing and advertising, and similarly, back when I started, you'd make some television commercials and you hope they'd land, and maybe you'd have the opportunity to tweak them. But what a lot of marketers and advertisers move towards is starting to test things out on social and digital channels to see what messaging is landing or responding. And then those messages graduate up into bigger campaigns or bigger initiatives. And so similarly with entertainment properties, if you go out and tell a good story or a great story on a podcast and you do it only with audio and you understand that the engagement's there and you understand what stories clicking with your audience is and you're starting to get feedback, it allows you to put yourself in a better position to make something that's going to be more broadly accepted. And that's, I think, just another wonderful opportunity and benefit of starting the podcast in the audio world.
Let's talk a little bit about short form content. And I don't know whether it's verticals or otherwise. Like, where do you both stand on that, short form content, and how it's changing the film industry landscape?
Sure.
This is a hotbed topic for us, so I'm going to let Noah take this.
Yeah, and there's a couple of ways into that. I think the optimist point of view, or the reality is that people's viewing and listening habits have changed incredibly. People's attention spans are different. People are consuming multiple lines of content simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So I think this short content represents a lot of great opportunities. I think, one, for Hollywood studios, it's an opportunity for them to confront the change in viewer habits and actually start to create things that are more in line with how people are viewing things these days. Now, that comes at the sacrifice of some of the things we love about cinema and movies, which is long format and big screens, but I don't necessarily think that's going to go away. I think we're just going to start to split the audiences a little bit more. And so I think Hollywood has to deal with that because there are companies out there that are thriving with these short format and these mini dramas. So the long and short of it is the audience is there because it's how they're consuming content. And I think it's exciting for the same reasons I was mentioning earlier, that I think it's going to allow a lot more independent creators to maybe get into the game. And I think that's what Trish and I are really excited about, along with podcasts and starting to put together ideas for mini dramas and short form content. It's another area where some of the gates and the blockades that were out there for independent filmmakers and creators you can navigate around them now. You can come up with your own idea for content. You can put it together with relatively small crews. You can edit it, and you can reach your own audience. Yeah. And that allows us to grow an audience in a way that was never before possible for independent creators. So I think that's extremely exciting.
Yeah, I do too. And to me, it's like, I don't know if this is a good analogy or metaphor or whatever, but I kind of think of it like it expands the market. Like, I mean, on some level, when Uber came around and we were all like, oh my gosh, is there ever going to be a taxi again or this or that? And the reason this is on my mind is just because I took a taxi that was like through Uber the other day, and it was like, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, the taxis are doing this now? I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And they're working, right? And the market changed, and obviously I don't know the numbers and all of it, but to me it expanded the market. It just gives everybody more options. So in this case, it would be like people have more options to consume different types of content they want, which in turn gives those that are compelled to tell stories on different formats, whether it's feature film or verticals or social media or podcasts, whatever. It just gives them an outlet to connect with an audience that cares to see their work. So I kind of see it as a win-win there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And just building on that a little bit is it also allows us to target smaller niche audiences with more accuracy. So,
that makes sense.
I know even from when I was born, like the population in the country has doubled. So if you go back to the golden age of cinema, a blockbuster might have been you reached 1 million people with your film. I mean, there are still influencers with millions of followers.
Yeah.
So you create content and reach a niche of people and build an audience that is plenty to drive the economy of that property or that content without having to reach 250 million viewers. So I believe there will be blockbusters and big movies that come out, but somebody small can go and build an audience and have their own really financial, creative ecosystem around a property. And again, I'm very independent minded, so I get excited for the independent creator and the independent studio. How that affects Hollywood, they're going to have to figure out how to get in that game without the economics of Hollywood, like blowing up the numbers, right? Because if you spend $50 million on a vertical, I think it's going to be tough to make the money back. But if they can figure out how to do them for $400,000 or $500,000 and reach micro audiences, then they could have a good economy around it too, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I agree. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Tricia and Noah, having you on the show today. And that being said, if people want to follow you both or connect, how do they do that?
Noah, go ahead first.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sweet Podcast Studios is just getting off the ground. You can find me at Conductor Productions as well. That's helloconductor.com. And you can Google me, Noah Lydiard. But Tricia?
Yeah, same. I'm on LinkedIn and sweetpodcaststudios.com, and we're on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram at a sweet podcast studio.
Fantastic. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some of that info in the show notes, so you can just click on the links and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Yes, you heard that right. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow buttons, because we got a lot of great interviews planned and stuff coming up, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Tricia, Noah, wishing you much more continued success, and I'll see you both at AFM next year. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much.